Hey, welcome everyone. This is Mike from ZoZoStockWatch.com, and this is going to be your Let's Get Ready for the Week Ahead, July 30th through August 3rd. And also your stocks to watch list for Monday, July 30th. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. A lot of action that came out for the week that passed. There were a lot of big earnings from companies. We had a lot of tariff talk on the table. Tariff talk is going to continue into the week ahead. It seems like we're waiting on a new deal with NAFTA between Mexico, USA, and Canada. And then we're trying to get a deal with China as far as the tariff goes. There's been a lot of jockeying for position with China and the United States. Trump reaching out for the farmers and giving them a $12 billion subsidy, saying to China that they're going after the American farmer. So a lot of hyperbole there on the tariff talks between Trump and China. The GDP numbers came out with a 4% handle on Friday. But as you look deeper into the numbers, and then as the talking heads discussed that GDP, a lot of it was boosted by those tax cuts. And now the concern is, can that continue? All right. We had a lot of tech stocks that reported earnings last week, and but the tech stocks did struggle a little bit on Friday. We'll get more into that. We had the Russell 2000, the small cap index, pulling back on Friday. Tesla earlier in the week asked suppliers for rebates, and that was from Tesla. Google had earnings the week that passed, very strong earnings there. Trump and the EU. Juncker had talks, and for right now, there's a little bit of a trade truce between the European Union and the United States on trade talk. The Europeans saying that they're maybe buying more soybeans from the United States. So it seems like a little bit of an olive branch there for the trade talk between the United States and Europe. Facebook, another big earnings that came out the week that passed. Facebook took a big hit. They guided lower. Amazon had very good earnings, huge earnings beat from Amazon. Intel and Twitter were also standouts in the earnings push down. Both of those stocks taking a little bit of a heat the week that passed. We had Bitcoin. The Winklevoss brothers were turned down by the SEC for their ETF, but yet Bitcoin still has that 8,000 handle as I look over the weekend. But the ETF was turned down by the SEC for a Bitcoin ETF. It looks like they may appeal it again, but for right now, it is not going to happen. We'll look at some stocks like Amazon, Apple, Google, Facebook, Netflix, Nvidia, and so on. We'll also look through some of the indices, and I'm also going to do some of the best stocks and worst stocks for the week that passed. But let's go ahead and look at some of the markets for the week that just passed. For a weekly percentage on the Dow Jones, up about 1.53%. For the year, we're up about 2.78%. The IBB, which came down on Friday, is up 8% year to date. For the month to date, up 6.91, but Friday for the week, we were down over 2% on Friday. IWM also almost down 2% for the week. The IYT, the transports, were actually up, even with oil moving up this week, 1.20%. Transports did rise. A lot of that had to do with airlines bouncing off the lows, and a lot of the railroads were getting some buying. The Qs down fractionally for the week. SMH up fractionally for the week. The SPY up over about 0.5% for the week. Like we said, oil was up. XLE was up over 2% for the week. The banks had a very good week, up almost over 2% for the week on the XLE. ETF. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the markets and look at some of the charts. And we'll start here with the SPY. And I'm not going to go into too many of the markets because a lot of them had this same reaction on Friday. Now, not a super ugly candle here and not much technical damage, but back in January, we have not made a new high since January 26th. 2018. Now, after we had a super 2017, basically we've been in this sideways consolidation mode. Bears or bulls not able to make much headway. I would say, though, the bulls have held up. I mean, after having such a tremendous 2017, to not even get a 10% pullback in the market is pretty strong from the bulls, and that's with all the tariff talk and whatnot going on. But Friday, we did get some reversal here. Now, are things changing? We'll have to see. We'll try to answer that question as we go further into the video. The SPY pulled back down to about the 10 SMA. If we look at it on the weekly chart here, all right, SPY still holding above the 10 SMA on the weekly. A slight pullback here, kind of a doji inverted hammer here on the weekly chart for the SPY. If we go ahead and look at the Qs, definitely an inverted hammer here, so a sign of basically what that means is we were up at this level here when we opened and we closed down here. So definitely a little bit of a reversal candle here on the weekly for the SPY, for the Qs, I'm sorry. And we also had the Qs making that push down. We are holding right at the 34 SMA here on the daily chart for the QQQ. Some other things we'll look at. Gold really insignificant right now. Gold just keeps driving down as the dollar keeps moving up. Silver, not really a factor right now. SLV is still in this downward trend on silver. We'll look at oil. USO for the week, like we said, was up, holding above the 50 SMA, but trying to get back over the 20 SMA here on the daily chart. If we look at oil itself, light sweet crude, WTI, you see we're in this trending channel up, but we're at near the bottom of the channel, but we are holding above the 10 SMA on the daily chart here. If we look at it on the weekly chart, you can see that channel a little bit better. All right, so we have this trend up channel. We're pulling back down to the bottom of the channel here. All right, so we're going to have to see if we're going to get a further push down or are they going to turn this back up. We're at the 20 SMA on the weekly for oil. All right, and let's take a look at the SMH. All right, SMH holding above the 50 SMA, but pause here so far. So the IYT was down for Friday, right, but up for the week on the IYT. We're holding above the 10. We're holding above the 5 EMA here on the IYT. Let's go ahead and look at some of the bigger names, such as Apple. That stock reversing down, still above the 50 SMA. Amazon also reversing down on Friday. So the techs were struggling a little bit on Friday. Google also pushing back from the highs there. Tesla, which was kind of soft all week. We'll get more into Tesla as I get into the best and worst stocks for the week. Netflix, still under the 50 SMA. Now, this is where they drove Netflix up after the earnings, but since then we've been kind of slowly creeping right back down, down to near that 100 SMA on Netflix. So another one of the big FANG names rolling over. NVIDIA had a little bit of a reversal, but holding above the 50 SMA. And we'll look at the VIX real fast. It has about a 13 handle on it now. Last time I spoke to you, we were at about a 12 handle. We did get a little bit of fear coming into the market. Not fear, but I guess a little volatility, I should say, on the VIX. So we had some volatility come into the market on Friday. So the TNX right now has about a just under that 3%. We've been holding under this 3% on the TNX. So you have to see if this is going to be a factor. Like I said, interest rates moving up a little bit. So banks had a very strong week, up about 2% on the XLS. ETF. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's coming up for the week ahead. All right, we'll get into some of the earnings that are coming out. And if you notice, I squared off and highlighted some of the bigger names. Monday morning, we have Caterpillar. They have earnings before the bell. So CAT symbol there. We have Transocean. We have AKS Steel will be reporting after the close on Monday. As far as before the bell, on Tuesday, we have Shopify, SHOP, Procter & Gamble, Pfizer. After the close Tuesday, we have Apple Computers. We also have Pandora, which will be reporting. AKMI will be reporting. Akamai. Then on Wednesday, after the bell, we have Tesla reporting, Square, SQ symbol there, Activision and Wayfair reporting on Thursday. So some of the highlighted names there. Teva is before the bell on Thursday, Dow, DuPont, Blue Apron, GoPro reporting. After the bell on Thursday. So that's some of your earnings. Kraft Heinz reporting before the bell on Friday. Noble Energy, Dish will be reporting on Friday before the bell. So that's some of your earnings coming up. As far as the calendar of events, this courtesy of the Trade Exchange, a couple of things that are standout. We have the FOMC meeting beginning, and then we have on Wednesday the 1st the FOMC meeting announcement at 2 p.m. Note there is no presser that day, so no 2:30 presser conference there after the announcement, but that'll be coming out on Wednesday after the bell, so that's definitely a market moving event there. This all leading up to the jobs number on Friday the 3rd, August 3rd at 8:30. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. So be at your desk on Wednesday at 2 p.m. and then be at your desk at 8:30 on Friday for the jobs number August 3rd. As far as Bitcoin go, as you can see here, we're still below the 200 SMA technically here on Bitcoin. We have the 8,000 handle on there. Basing right underneath it, we've come from about 6,000. We got over the 50 SMA on Bitcoin. Now let's see if they can breach back above the 200 SMA for Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and look at some of the worst stocks for the week, and we'll lead it off with Facebook down 17% for the week after their earnings came out. Big hit Twitter down 21% for the week after their earnings report. Whirlpool also taking a hit, down 16% for the week. Tariff talk here, tariff problems, earnings miss, cost of goods being affected in Whirlpool, driving that stock down. So WHR moving down. Intel also taking a hit, down 8% this week on their earnings. WDC, another computer stock, down 7% for the week. STX down in sympathy to WDC, down about 3% for the week. And they have their earnings coming up. I believe it's on Monday. We had AERI, a biotech name, this down about 8% for the week. They have a they got a March 14th PDUFA date assigned by the FDA. So AERI moving down about 8%. BLUE, they were down about 10% for the week. They're doing a stock offering on BLUE. AGRX 9%. So AGRX down 39% as the FDA denied its appeal. NBRV, this stock down about 27%. They made an acquisition, Zavante Therapeutics. So NBRV made an acquisition. So NBRV was down 27% for the week. VIIB, Biogen, down about 5% for the week. Phase 2 Alzheimer's disease. So that stock dropped a little bit. ACOR denied motion for patents on one of its drugs, down 17% for the week. SVRA, they did a stock offering, stock down about 6% for the week. SRPT, phase one placed on clinical hold for SRPT, stock dropped about 11% for the week. CFRX, this stock doing an offering, stock dropped about 20% for the week. 3D Systems, triple D, down 17% for the week. Amazon coming out with a 3D printer, so getting into their space. So this one was down 17%. BZH had earnings, stock dropped 17%. JetBlue also had earnings, stock dropped 9% for the week. GM and Ford both out with earnings. GM down 5%, Ford down about 6% for the week. So that's some of your worst stocks for the week. And now for some of your best stocks for the week, we'll lead it off with AMD. This stock up 15% after they came out with earnings. Corning's Incorporated came out with earnings, and this stock up. GLW up 15% for the week. RETA, this stock was driven up all the way 61% for the week on RETA. Release of data, phase 2. Patients with kidney disease there on RETA. TORC, phase 2 top line data. This stock drove up 67% for the week. CRMD, Data Safety Monitoring Board, phase 3 trial terminated, and the required level of statistical significance was reached. So CRMD, statistical significance was reached. The stock jumped 82% for the week. Now it's an under $1 name. You see the volume that came in. So CRMD, big move up there on that one. ADMA, FDA PDUFA date of October 25th. So this stock jumped 26%. PCRX was upgraded at HC Wainwright, price target 48. Stock went up 10% for the week. MPC, a bunch of the refiners were up this week. MPC up 12%. VLO also up this week after their earnings, up 10%. PSX had earnings on Friday. The stock went up almost 8% for PSX for the week. LLY, Eli Lilly jumped 9% for the week. EXPE also moving up after their earnings, up 10% for the week. RUB, GRB, a big winner for the week, up 17% for the week on Grubhub as they announced very good earnings. So those were up. We had some railroad up. KSU was up 5% for the week. EWW, the Mexican ETF, up 3%. Save had a good week, up 7%. LUV, and a lot of the airlines were moving up this week, 9% on LUV. DAL also climbing, up 5%. HA up about 5% for the week. And then lastly, ALK in the airline sector, up 5% for the week. All right, so we'll get into the stocks to watch for Monday, the 30th of July. Right now, my time, it's about 15 minutes to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Dow futures down about 10, S&P futures down about 2, NASDAQ futures down about 6. Some news that came out over the weekend, courtesy of the Trade Exchange, built for traders by traders. So over the weekend, like I said, we had Blue announcing that offering, BLU there. We had Galt with an offering, 7.44 million S3 filed for Galt. CTXR also had as an offering announced. DRRX gets FDA approval of one of their drugs for the treatment of schizophrenia. So DRRX, nice pop in the after hours on Friday on this name. We also had some top insider purchases come out Friday after the bell. WOW Director, CERC, SBBP, and SNV also had an insider purchase on that name. DOVA filed Form S3. IBKR filed Form 8K to offer 1 million over 1 million shares, and V filed Form S3R mixed security shelf, so dilution there. We had some late news. I don't know if anybody was watching CBS on Friday, but Les Munez, some allegations came out against him, so CBS dropping down on Friday. CBS board to discuss if CEO Munez should step aside amid a probe into harassment allegations. So that news coming out over the weekend, courtesy of the trade exchange. And by the way, I guess we should have added CBS to one of the worst stocks for the week. After those allegations came out, stock down 6%. So CBS dropping 6% for the week, one on the worst stocks list. All right, let's go ahead and get into that watch list for July 30th. And of course, you can keep some of these on watch for the week ahead. Now, the AWX, right? This stock in after hours on Friday made it all the way up to $19. I don't know how much more juice is left in the tank, but we'll have this AWX on watch. A big, massive move here. We closed at 10.25 on Friday, and the stock continued to move up in the after hours on Friday up to $19 a share. So we'll have it on watch. Definitely will not chase that, but definitely for intraday might be interesting. ASX stock made a nice move on Friday, 1.5 million shares. Semiconductor name here. Looks like a recent IPO moving up. So ASX will be on watch. AVID. Trying to get up over this 550 spot. You can see that line right there around 555, 550. Some expanding volume here on AVID. BPI holding these gains. It gapped up. I believe this was due to earnings. They gapped this one up. It's holding the gap, so maybe some kind of red to green intraday move on BPI. BSPM, we actually got a trade in this on Friday for a nice move up. Watching to see if it can get back over this 250 area for BSPM, but I'll watch this one intraday during the week. CRMD had that news. The stock had a great week, up 82%. Now, this was a 25-cent stock. It's an under $1 name. Could have more in the tank here on CRMD. That'll be on watch. DRRX, I just read that news to you. This one will be on watch. It moved up in the after hours on Friday for DRRX. Ugly daily chart, but a big move up in the after hours. Ford, FORD. Nice action here on Friday. You note the expanding volume here, 889,000 shares. Has that 225 spot to get above. We've been as high as 275. So FORD will be on watch. FRAC, an oil name, coming up off the bottom, trying to turn here. 1.8 million shares came into FRAC. IDXG. Moving up nicely on Friday, 1.6 million shares. ISR. Now we had this big candle here back on the 9th of July. We've pulled back since, still holding above the fast moving averages and the 50 moving average here. Maybe trying to get up over this 66 cents, 67 cents. So ISR will be on watch. Kind of an inside day on Friday. Big move up for this oil stock. 1.5 million shares. This will be on watch. Maybe a red to green. Maybe a possible swing trade in this NR. NUVA stock trying to turn back up. Has this 54.50 area up ahead. Possible swing trade in this name. Medical devices. 1 million shares came into that one. PED has been holding up. We had a high on Friday on PED of 265. So if this can get back over 265, 270, but also you have have to watch it on your intraday, and going to depend on what the markets are doing, obviously, too. Pump starting to turn back up here. PUMP, it's been kind of beaten down. It's been consolidating here on the daily chart, has that $16 number up ahead. Problem is right now it's under the 50 SMA, which is right at $16, 1.3 million shares. So I'll have it on watch, not a favorite. Riot. Now, if we get a further move up in Bitcoin, that's why I was showing you the chart, maybe over this $8 area on Riot, we'll have to be aware of some of the inverses like the SQQQ, right? We actually got a nice trade Friday in the TZA. We got in at 860 and it moved all the way up to over $9 on the TZA. UVXY will be on watch this week also. The volatility, we got into this at 925, the price, and the stock move is volatility index moved up to almost $10 on that one, so we made some money on that. Another couple of names that I'll be watching stock-wise is SRAX. Actually held up very well with all that selling going on in the SPY and the markets on Friday. This SRAX held up nicely. We have a high back here of 585, so watch that 585 spot on that one. SSLJ. Recent IPO back in February, I guess. It's been drifting down. Look at this big volume that came in on Friday. Has that $2 and $1.50 number up ahead. SSLJ. You see that move into the close, but then they sold it off. So we'll see on this one. SSLJ. SU, an oil stock, holding up nicely. Has this $42 number. Possible swing trade in this name. TORC, which is the last one. Recent IPO. Well, I should say, yeah, back in February, so that's pretty recent. Volume, expanding volume here, pulled back, held the 5 EMA, held this $12. Now, this one is very spready intraday, so if you do trade this one, trade it very small, low share trader, TORC, can be spready. The high on Friday was 14.92, so keep an eye if this thing can get up over maybe like 15.10, 15.15 for a possible move, but you'd have to watch this intraday. All right, and one of the things I neglected to do was show you the SPY action from Friday. So let me make this chart bigger. So here was your action on Friday. So we gapped up, right? We had the GDP number. They moved us down. We recovered. We popped back up. This is a 5-minute pre-post market chart you're looking at. And then we broke down through VWAP. I'd say it was around, 10, about just before 10 o'clock. And after that, it was pretty much the SPY selling off for the rest of the day. The Qs did the same thing. And as you can see here, a lot of the tech stocks like Amazon, they were popping, right? Amazon had earnings Thursday. They moved it up and then they reversed it right back down. Let's check out Google intraday. Yeah, so that one reversed back down. Facebook took a further beating, just basically drifting down on Friday. So that was your action on Friday. So that's the watch list for tomorrow, Monday, July 30th. Also, you're more prepared for the week ahead, I hope, than you were before. If you like these videos, please hit the thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. This is Mike from ZoZoStockWatch.com.